Yo,
Episode 11.
11. We've done 11 of these. Damn.
Double hockey sticks. Yep. 11.
So
Well, listen,
the audio of the intro is a little low. How's my audio right now? Are you okay?
you're good.
Give me a
Yeah.
check. 1, 2.
Check. Sibilance.
Sibilance. Check 1. Check 2.
Yeah, we're good. I hear you fine.
All right. Good.
I'm back home.
Back from the Mexico trip, Dan.
Back from Boomer City.
Boomer on water. Floating boat of boomers.
Floating boomers. Yeah. So it's nice to be back among younger, regular people.
And yeah. So everybody that was in the betting pool, not one child on the boat the whole time.
Not one child, zero.
Wow.
The only, you would say, children is there was a couple in their 60s who brought their adult children who are in their 20s.
Yeah, that's not a child. That's good. Wow.
No,
So your gamble paid off.
Not a soul on board under 18. It's funny because I was asking the crew, one of the crew people, I'm like, it's weird there's no kids. I'm like, I'm happy, but this weird. She goes, you're glad you're here now, because she said next week. I looked at the roster and there's like a slew of them. So,
dude, that would have been amazing for the pod. Bad for you, but it would have been amazing for the podcast if there was like dozens of children running around and Dan spending all this money to get away from essentially children, and like they just
yeah, well, you have your own stuff.
Well, I'm glad.
So do you want me to do my little recap first?
Yeah, dude, we got about an hour. Dan's got a very important business meeting to go to in an hour, so we got to rush this along. Very high corporate level stuff. But yeah, what's going on?
Let's start with something positive. So I want you. This is good.
Start with something positive.
Yeah, this is some volume, but this is a pretty cool video I took myself. Took this one myself. Want to see you see.
Size of those.
Yeah, it's kind of like snowing.
Pretty cool, huh?
That's
pretty
really
nice.
Cool, man.
Yes, that was a humpback whale playing around.
Yeah,
it was like those flippers were probably, I don't know, 5 feet tall. I'm 4 feet tall. I mean that. So.
And then Dan also texted me a picture of a large whale penis breaching the water too. It's kind of cool to see. Yeah, look at that.
So it was so gray whales. This is a gray whale. Gray whales go to the Sea of Cortez to mate this time of year. So that is a whale dick. That's a whale dick right there.
And you took this photo.
I did not. I got it from one of the other people. I don't have a good camera. There was some boomers there with some high end camera shit.
Right.
They had a thing at the end where you could like share photos. So I grabbed this one.
I love it.
Whale dick. I mean, but like, I don't think he's Jewish, right? Is he circumcised? I don't think so. I mean, it's a little not
no,
cool.
that looks like a Jewish whale, maybe.
Jewish whale. No, so it was good. Look. You know me, I love to complain. But basically, it was a good trip. Got to see some really cool shit. I sent you videos. I sent you pictures of humpback whales.
Oh yeah,
gray whales, and we got to see a blue whale, which is the largest animal that has ever inhabited the earth.
They're amazing.
100 feet long. They're fucking enormous. So it was really good. I mean, look, I complained about the boomers.
Yeah, you did.
And no doubt they were annoying. I have one final complaint. I have one crescendo of a complaint.
Give me it.
So everyone on board. Okay, so 100 people, average age 75-ish. Okay,
right.
There was, we try to stay away from the subject, but this I have to talk about this. Okay, I have to.
Go ahead. No, hit me.
The way it worked was we flew into Laredo, Mexico. And then you get on a bus for 2 hours. They take you to a hotel. They feed you. And then when you're done, they put you on a bus with the people who you're going to be on the ship with to the ship, which is 2 hours away. Okay?
Ooh, that's interesting. So you're on the bus looking around like, okay, this is who I'm with.
Right. So we got stuck at the back of the bus. You know how the bus has two with a
and then a like couch
and
in
then
the back.
A bench in the back. We got stuck on the bench next to these boomers. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Now, out of 100 boomers, there are about 100. There's probably about 6 who were wearing masks at the airport.
Right.
And then, and again, let's not to get into that whole shtick, but I generally give boomers a break on that. They're old. I get it. Whatever. But the people we were next to were 2 of the people wearing them, and they were very aggressive about it. And you could tell, I think they were uncomfortable with the fact that we were younger, and they just figured in their heads, they're young. They must have COVID and RSV and the flu and AIDS and whatever else, right?
You were getting the vibe that like they were shooting you eye daggers because you were younger.
100% eye daggers. Yeah. So it was a husband and a wife, older people, not. I mean, older, but not like massive geezers, but older.
Yeah.
And so the dude kept taking his off to pick his nose, which I thought was great.
Get out of here.
But the woman wasn't fucking around. She was one of those where she would take a sip of her water and put that thing right back on, like at the speed of light. Like this woman's never moved faster in her life. So, okay.
Yeah.
Rich people tend to be a little more afraid of germs and colds than most. Also, it's a double whammy. They're boomers and they're rich. It's a double fucking whammy. Now bear in mind, 100 people, only about 4 were doing this, but these 2 were very serious about it.
And they were right next to you, and that's why you were focusing on them, because they're right in your hula hoop.
You know what's interesting, Bruce, is this the minute we got on the boat, there was no mat, they didn't wear them at all. So you're on the bus with these same 100 people, and then you get on the boat, and somehow now you're fine.
Maybe it's the open air. Who knows what the lie? Everyone's got different logic, you know.
Anyway, regardless. So anyway.
So what happened?
Okay, so I just decided I didn't like these people. I just decided from the jump I hate
Dan, I hate to interrupt. Turn up your mic volume a little bit.
I decided I disliked these 2 very much.
Right.
Okay? And
you made a decision.
I fixated on them, and I could tell they didn't like me. You could just tell, like,
you're like George Costanza. You know they don't like you.
I think they saw us as like hooligans, like, oh, you young person with a heavy metal T-shirt, you know, they were like that, right?
Right.
Harvard business shirt, like. We did interact with many boomers and had a really nice time with some of them.
Yeah, like we always say, boomer, look, we talk a lot of shit about boomers, but it's a mindset, really. I hate to cast a wide net over the whole generation.
A mindset. Just because you're
a mindset.
It doesn't mean you're bad. So we made friends with several boomers on the trip who were very nice. These people, you could tell, wanted nothing to do with us. They
eye daggers. I know what that means. They're shooting at eye daggers. Yeah. Looks of hatred.
Didn't like me. Okay,
so what'd you do?
Okay, so I every time I saw them, they annoyed me the whole time. I just didn't like them. So we get to the airport coming home. And
so this is now after the whole thing.
Whole thing's over.
You don't like
not them. A mask to be found on the cruise, but now we're back at the airport getting ready to fly out.
Right, and you recognize them. These are the people you've been hating on the whole time. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I got a video. I want you to watch this.
Oh no!
I might play this twice. I want
a non-consensual video.
I want you to watch this carefully. And she's sitting next to her husband. I want you to watch it carefully.
All right, I'll tell you what I say,
and we'll comment after.
I've never seen this before.
Yeah, oh my God, please.
Okay.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna do it one more time.
Yeah, oh my God, please.
Okay.
Then she almost catches you videotaping her a little bit.
Did you see your husband next to her with the mask below his nose?
Oh, really?
Here, well, look carefully. Look on.
Yeah, I was focusing on the banana.
All right, look at the.
He's got the mask below his nose.
That's her husband.
Yeah, oh my God, please.
See what's going on.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah, what's going on?
Okay.
Tell me.
So the fact that he's got it below his nose means he's not afraid of any virus. This is the wife. His wife is making him do it, and she's a germaphobe. And she, like, you don't see a lot of remove mask between bites in the wild. You don't.
So it's funny that you had that take, because before you even said that, I was going to have the same take. Exactly. That it's like the wife is the one who's hardcore with the mask, and he just has to go along with the program, right?
Yeah, that's 100% what it is, because it's below your nose. I know people even 4 years later don't seem to understand anything about how this virus spreads and what masks work and what masks don't work. I get that. Most people don't know. They just don't know. Fine. But I think it's pretty common sense at this point that if you're wearing it below your nose, it's utterly pointless. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on with the mask as far as what people know, what people don't know. But I think that's a pretty good point, Dan, is that the consensus is it has to go like that's an easy one. If it's going to work, it's got to go over your nose. I don't think there's any kind of debate on that. I love
my favorite, and I will say, I don't see a lot of mask between bites in the wild.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I don't see a lot of that.
Out and about. Like the people who are scared of the virus, they're going to wear the mask inside. They're going to get their food. They're going to get the fuck out, right? So this broad decides she's going to eat a banana, and she's hand on the banana, hand on the mask, hand on her face.
So let me just explain to the audience that didn't
spread germs everywhere as it is. If you're that afraid of this fucking virus, don't eat a banana. Put the mask on, leave it on, don't take it off.
So I just wanted to describe to the audience that didn't see the video, because a lot of people don't watch the videos. I learned that a lot of people watch.
Allow me.
Okay, go ahead.
It is a older couple. There
Yes.
is a woman with a kind of butch haircut with a mask on her face. She's removing it, takes a bite of a banana, and immediately puts it back. But as she's putting it back, she kind of slips and then touches it again and is touching it again. Next to her is her husband with the mask, same exact mask, same. You could tell they bought them at the same place, below his nose. Okay, so
Dan is taking video of this,
and I hated these people from the jump, because we were on that bus and they're looking at me like I'm Typhoid Mary, right? Meanwhile, I'm fine. I don't have a cold. I'm fine. I never had any virus, right? So, like these are stereotype rich boomers. It's the double whammy. You don't find a plumber or an electrician or a fucking painter who's walking around scared of this fucking virus. You just don't. I'm sorry. Blue collar.
So that's your take on that situation. And Dan said, before I talk about that, you're going to annoy me. And I'm not terribly annoyed at this take, Dan. I mean, it's just kind of like, I mean, I could see how it's like. I agree with you. I find that annoying. A lot of things that we find annoying, they might make sense, they might not make sense, but it is funny because we find it annoying. And the way that she's like aggressively taking the bite of the banana and putting the mask back on and biting the banana.
Meanwhile, she's handling the mask over and over again. And
she's touching her fingers on the cloth. It's not an N95. It's one of the black paper
one of those
ones.
middle ones. It wasn't cloth. It was the 94. I think it is.
Regardless, I mean, regardless, but she's in it. I get.
It's a placebo, right? So, but again, rich people, and these people are fucking rich. Rich people, they don't have real problems. So getting a bad cold is about the worst thing that's going to happen to them.
Well, devil's advocate, Dan, I will say that different people have different immunocompromised type of diseases and
these
conditions.
People weren't immunocompromised, Bruce.
How do you know?
They're flying to Mexico to go on a cruise. I watched them the whole time. They were fine. They were snorkeling, doing all kinds of shit. Again, I'm playing the odds on this one. I'm playing the odds.
Okay.
Right?
Painting with a broad stroke.
Playing the odds. These are rich schmucks, older people. And again, I give some slack to the geezers, because if you're over 70, the virus tends to be a lot worse. Again, I would ask what the point of the fucking vaccine is if you're going to be afraid of the virus, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
so,
which I will not be having with you, but
what's the point? We have vaccines. I'm not against the vaccines at all. I'm saying we have them. You and I can agree on that. We have them. They are there, right? Yeah. So if you're going to take the vaccine, right, you would think that would help placate your fears of you having a bad outcome.
You would. But I think what's going on is that you feel and it's up to the person if they want to feel safe. Like I have a similar situation where I'm going to the gym and, there's a couple old geezers that wear masks at the gym. And I will tell you that, of course, working out when you have to wear a mask on and you're breathing heavy and you're sweating, there's nothing worse. It's tough to work out with a mask on, but I see a couple people wearing masks at the gym. It doesn't bother me because I'm like, they can do what they want to do. Like I'm trying to take the
normal. I'm with you. Normally, I don't care. I just don't like these people. And again, I think if you had been on this boat even given that you and I disagree on this topic, you would have been of one mind.
No. I'm with you 100% on the
me.
banana video. On the banana video, when you're biting and taking it off, and like what is going on with that? Like, yes, it's her decision. She can do whatever she wants, but 100%, like that's a little annoying. And I'm 100% with you. If the real story is not her with the banana taking the mask off to take a bite. The real story is the husband sitting right next to her with the mask barely on. He's got a mustache. By the way, the facial hair is another whole can of worms.
Yeah. Oh,
you got a mustache. It's
Yeah.
not creating a barrier, and shit's getting in there. So he's just doing it because, like, look, my wife just fucking like. Look, there are things that you do to keep a happy marriage. There are things that I do to keep a happy marriage. Just choose your battle. So this guy's probably like.
What makes man, is I can deal with somebody who is legitimately has a fear of a virus. Fine. Okay. I am not afraid of any virus. Well, I wouldn't say any virus, but I'm not afraid of this virus. Fine. That's me. Other people are. That's okay. I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is when something that should be just a black or white scientific thing turns into a cultural thing. And it shouldn't be cultural, right? Either this thing has a impact and helps you avoid getting sick, or it doesn't, right? And with that dude, it doesn't. And arguably with her technique, it doesn't. And my point is, these are your stereotype. I don't know where they're from, but I'm guessing New York City, somewhere like that. These are your stereotype rich people, no real problems. Everything's golden for them. They're millionaires. Right. The worst thing that can happen.
You're reading a lot into the situation, but you're probably right. I mean, if you're going to play the odds, I'm with you. Play the odds. That's what we're looking at here.
I've seen it in my personal life. Just you can set your watch to it. Yeah. Somebody who works for a living with their hands, even especially with their hands, doesn't tend to be as worried about this shit as a rich person who has no real problems. So you take a rich person who has no real problems and you introduce the possibility of a virus that'll knock you out for a week. That's a real problem to them. That's a major fucking problem. That's like that's like you or I like getting a bludgeon to the face, right? So anyway,
yeah. I don't want to talk about this too long. You were right to give me a warning when you brought it up. I mean, we disagree on this topic quite a bit, but I will say
so much. It annoyed me.
I will agree with you. Yeah, I can see it annoying you. That video is annoying.
And if she was staring daggers at you on that bus, thinking this fucking gross young guy with his tattoos, he's definitely sick. I can tell,
Well, and I think one aspect that you're not talking about that probably plays into it is, and you'll agree with it, like if you're rich and you're on that cruise and you probably might, okay, I'm going to paint with a broad brush too. You probably think that poor people are dirty and they have the germs.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
I don't want this poor person fucking disease breathing on me. It's classist, and it's probably a classist thing, right?
Like that was the whole time. Like, how many pictures did you see in the media in like 2021 of rich people walking around a party with no mask, but all the servants are wearing them, right? How many times you see that shit, right? It is 100% what it is.
I'll add fuel to this fire even more. One thing I see out here in Arizona, which is wild to me, and I'm very pro-mask, but I will see a person walking down the street in Arizona, like on the sidewalk, big open streets, outside, no one around them, and they're wearing a mask just walking down the street. Like, and that I don't understand, because like I have the mask. I went through COVID. I was very vigilant about wearing the mask. I got all my shots. I hated wearing the mask, but I wore it, right? So now, but like, to be out in the open, just walking down the sidewalk where there's no one around you breathing, I think, and that's fine. That's human nature. Like, you might want to people just do what they're going to do. And as a whole, I think about that now that I'm growing and trying to live in society a little bit better. If people want to do things, I let them do it and not bother me.
I don't get angry at the person. I get angry at our institutions for failing that person. Because if we had institutions that were competent, they would put out communication so people understand what the risks really are.
We don't get a lot of really clear, cut and dry information.
Not unless it makes someone money. Not unless it's
I will agree with you on that. We don't. But here's the deal: We don't get a lot of really clear, cut and dry information because science, as such, is constantly changing and growing and moving.
Not on
and
this.
so,
Not on this.
as you get more information on a subject, topics change and things change when you get more information to research.
So when this all started, as much as I borchkied and complained, right? When this all started, I complied because we had no data at all on whether masking at the population level made any difference in spread. We didn't know either way. So it was fair to ask people to do it, right?
Yeah, as a safeguard.
By the middle of 2021, there had been over 70 randomized controlled trials done globally on large populations where they take one big group, they make them wear masks all day, they take another big group and they don't, and they compare, okay, how it spread. And what they determined. Is that a plane?
You can hear that? Yeah, there's a plane flying over.
What they determined, I'm sorry to tell you, is that at population level, it makes no difference, not even a little difference. It's a waste of time. Now, on an individual level,
I would disagree with you on that. And I don't know what cockamamie website you got that off of.
Not cockamamie.
Dan, how long are we going to talk about the mask thing? It's 10:30. How long are we talking about this?
You're not allowed to deny reality. I don't mind difference of opinions, but you're denying reality. You show me. I'm telling you, one. And I was patient. I waited to see what the results were of these studies. And the reality is, to this day, we're 4 years in, there's not one randomized controlled trial showing that they work. I'm talking population level. I don't mean individually. Individually, they work. Individually. You walk out with an N95, you don't take it off, you leave it, it's worn properly, it works. I mean population level. And what that means is everyone wearing them, because you know why? Because you're counting on people to do something all day that most people can't even do for 2 minutes correctly, first of all. And second, again, this is what pisses me off. I challenge you. I will write you a check for $1,000, right? If you produce for me
I do need money.
One randomized controlled trial, not a survey, not observational, randomized controlled trial, a real scientific study that shows that masks made a difference at population level. There is not one. If you look at the CDC website and
well, that's fine, Dan. You don't have to browbeat me and try to get me.
This is what pisses me off. If you look at the science, it's all surveys. It's like, well, we surveyed 100 people who wear a mask, and they said that's not a real study. Is you take 100,000 people, a shitload of people, and you say half of you we're going to make wear masks, half of you were not, and we're going to report. And I waited until these studies came out because no one knew what the answer was, and it globally it never fucking mattered. It was a waste of time. I'm talking population level, not individual, population level, and so that's what pisses me off. It's that the CDC could have said, look, we've done the studies. We know this on an individual level. If you're over 70 and yada, yada, yada.
Well, you're saying you didn't like it that they didn't walk back. And I get what you're saying.
They still have it. Tell people the truth. Tell them the cloth masks don't do anything. I mean, nothing. Zero. Cloth masks do nothing.
Well, they're probably just, I mean, I see what you're saying. I see your point 100%, but they're just going to be like, what? Just fuck it. If people want to wear the mask.
And I don't, correct. If one, and then on an individual person, I don't give a shit. What pisses me off is that these institutions can't be bothered to tell people the truth and just say, look.
Well, now that the COVID is pretty much, it's worn down a little bit. It's still out there. Do you really see that there's a problem with the government telling people you got to wear masks? I never see this anymore. No,
they're not saying that. I just want them to amend and use the new science that came out.
You want them to come out and say, hey, by the way, we were wrong on this.
I'm not even asking for that. You don't have to admit you were wrong. Just say, here's what works and here's what doesn't work. Wearing this kind of mask, worn correctly for short periods of time, will protect you.
I don't think they're going to do that, Dan.
Of course they're not. Of course they're not.
Why doesn't bother me too much?
It bothers me, man.
It bothers you?
When I see people like you describe wearing a cloth mask walking down the street on a sunny day, I don't mind.
Bothers you?
I don't get mad at the person. I feel bad for them. I get mad at the fucking institutions that got us here. That got us to where we have people doing crazy
shit. You got to live your life. You got to move on and live your life. And I mean, it's eat you up inside, bro.
It does. It does eat me.
What else we got? I don't want to spend an hour talking about fucking masks.
No. But I'm going to send you. So that's all I got. I'm very anxious to hear, Your stuff.
Go to the electric thing first. No, but before I get into this, to your point, I will 100%. You know, if I saw that lady with the mask with the banana, that would have gotten to me too, just on a human level. Like, why?
Just because
like,
I didn't like her. There were
Yeah.
other boomers wearing masks at the airport. Didn't bother me at all because they were nice. Like,
Yeah.
I liked them.
Yeah, I didn't like. She was shooting. She had something about her, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
yeah.
I'm a yeah. I like. I pick up on that.
The husband going along.
One thing that's true about me and you is that we pick up on people and the vibes they're giving off, and I know for sure, I would have picked up that she's a bitch, and without even like having any real context behind it. I would just know. I'm like,
you nailed it. I think she decided I was not in the club, meaning I'm not a rich old person.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you could have been like, bitch, I'm from fucking Dartmouth. All right, bitch.
It doesn't matter. To me, like you said, dirty, germy.
Right. Were you wearing your Black Iron Maiden shirt, Dan? You were. Dan was wearing Dan wears Black Iron Maiden shirts and he looks like a dirtbag when he does this, even though all right, so here's But I'm with you. I like that story.
I know. I think I know where yours is going, and I'm excited to hear about it.
All right. So Dan makes fun of me a lot of the time because I do a lot of DIY stuff around the house with my wife, you know. And we have this house. We will fix things and do things ourselves. A, because we're cheap, and B, because it's like we don't like paying people to come to the house and do things. Dan is on the other end of the spectrum. Dan has claimed that it's part of his culture and things to like not do things, get his hands dirty, much like Cooper, the character in Jaws, who won't do anything with his hands because Quint tells him he's been counting money his whole life. It's a
wait.
stereotype.
You know what's funny is one of the things I will do is electrical because I'm relatively good. With electrical.
So here's the story. Dan is now showing a picture of a guy working on something and getting electrocuted in the house. Where this story is going is this. It's 10:30. I got to move this along. So, the lights went off in the cupboard that we have that holds our food and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, bro, the lights are off. And we actually, now we got to fix it. So of course, we're diagnosing it. We're looking on YouTube, what needs to be fixed. It's a row of these sort of fluorescent lights that you can see above me. Same kind of shit, you know? And so we're trying to, it's these, you know, those fluorescent lights that are above me, like those. It ain't a regular light bulb.
Those are being phased out and it's hard to get the bulbs and it's called a ballast. That's up there.
Yes, and that's okay. You know this. I don't know anything about electricity. You know about a ballast. So I don't know about ballast or nothing like this, right? All I know is and by the way, I'm fucking terrified of electricity because all the times that I've been in bands my whole life and being around amplifiers and things you plug in and spilled beer, I've been zapped many fucking times. And I am terrified of electricity. I don't understand it. It's beyond my wavelength, whatever. I just don't like it. You can't see it. I don't like it, right? So she's like, okay, we're going to fix this fucking electric problem. And she decided that, and by the way, she just made me this really nice art table that you see behind me, like made out of wood. So I owe her one, right? Like she just made me this whole ass table. And I'm like, oh, she made So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to spend all day in this electric problem with Ro. Now, of course, we don't have the money. I don't have the money to just say like, hey, let's just fucking hire an electrician because I'm very poor now since I quit my job, right? This is my own decision. That's fine. I'm living with it. So like, okay, we're not going to hire an electrician. Plus, we don't want people coming in the house. So let's just fucking fix this ourselves. How hard can it be? We fixed things around the house before, electric things. We've added some plugs and sockets, and it's very easy. So anyway, she figured out, okay, it needs a ballast. These things, that's probably what's wrong, Bruce. It needs a ballast, right? I'm like, okay, I'm with you. Go to Home Depot, get the ballast, we'll come out. Now it comes time to work on it. This is all day yesterday. Took up the whole day. So, okay. So she goes out in the back and turns off the breakers. They're poorly labeled, but it's like, okay, we think this is the one, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right. And she gets up there and she replaces the ballast and stuff. And we do all this work. You turn on the light switch and it still doesn't work. Like, fuck, that's not it. Now this is an old house. What's that?
Not the bulb?
It's not the bulb. We check the bulb first, right? We're experienced DIY house repair people. We can do this.
DIY going. Okay.
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty good at this, and she's even better, bro. She's more of a man than me when it comes to fixing shit around the house. Okay. Honestly.
So you replace the ballast, still no go.
Replace the ballast, no good. Then I'm looking at the plug.
Coming to that, do you have a tester?
We don't have a little tester thing.
How do you buy a tester, Bruce?
I don't know, bro. So anyway,
you can't work without a tester, dude. That's how you tell.
So we're just doing this, and then I noticed that because the house is old, right? The house is 1972 house, is 50-year-old house, right? And the wiring, I'm sure, is very old with it. We did those overhead lamps that turn around, the fans.
Mm.
And we noticed that when we did those, the wiring in those things are old and fucked up. So I'm like, now I'm not an electrician, but I'm telling Ro, I'm like, you know what? I don't think the problem is the ballast up there. Those were installed 5 years ago. I think the problem is this fucking light switch that comes with the house. And we took off the thing to look at the light switch, and it's old and fucked up looking in there. Now, I'm, like I said, not an electrician. I'm just visual. And I'm looking at that going, I bet the problem's in there. It's fucked up. So we got a new light switch. How hard can this be, right? We've done this before. Turn it off, Ro. Turn off the thing, and I'll replace the new light switch. This I got, Ro. She did that. She was up there. I'm like, I will grab the reins and I'll change the light switch. She goes, okay. She goes off, turns off the breaker. Now I'm in there and I'm doing this. And I got a screwdriver in there and I'm working on it. Now I've gotten over my fear of electricity because I know the breaker box is off, or so I thought. Dan, I got fucking zapped like you would not believe.
Dude, you know how a tester's like $10, buddy.
Bro, I know. It's like that little thing with the 2 little needles and whatever.
No. It's one. It's a wand. And you go.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was a wand. I thought it was the thing with the 2. Doesn't matter.
That's a multimeter. You don't need that. You just need a tester.
You know what? It would have helped because I got fucking zapped.
Wait. Okay. Why is it a guy like me who hires people has a tester, but you, the cheapo who won't hire anyone, doesn't have a tester? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Tell Ro, you can't have it both ways. Either we buy the equipment we need to do this work, or
valid point. But we've always done this before, where you just turn off the breakers, and whatever.
You still got to have that tester, man. You just
agreed.
Never know. Especially
100% agreed.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway, that said, point made, Dan, for sure. But now I'm working on this, and I get zapped, and it goes like through my left hand, goes up like this, hits me. Now and your heart's right here.
Yeah,
my left hand, right? Your heart's right here. I had a situation with my heart 15 years ago that I had a surgery to fix it because there was an electrical problem with my heart. So I had it fixed. It's called an ablation, right?
Yeah.
So I got zapped. It like through my thumb. I felt it go all through this thing, and it came very close to my heart. And I was like, ow. And she's like, what's the matter? And I was walking around and going, I just got fucking zapped, right? And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I hit the right, breaker out there or whatever. No, I didn't blame her at all.
I'd fucking blame her.
I did not.
Get it. I'm not doing this until we get a tester. It's $10. Then $10.
So I didn't blame her. I didn't blame her because I'm the one who labeled the things out there, and it's very poorly. Like we don't know what's what.
In an old house, man, you just never know.
We don't know what's going on. It's like chicken scratch out there.
Yes, of course.
So I got fucking zapped, and I got zapped hard. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think." And of course, I got like a dude, like we are. We just brush it off like it's nothing. Right?
I'd be screaming and yelling.
Well, that's the difference. All right. So I was like, it's fine. Whatever. But then I noticed throughout the course of the day, I'm like, it still hurts and it's not really going away. And I don't like how close it is to my heart, right? So then I just
wait a minute. All right. Are you gonna turn into a supervillain now? That would be awesome.
I mean, at this point, but I got a funny thing to say. So anyway, it hurts. I decide to go to bed, and Ro was very, I'm sorry. And then like I told her, of course, after I got zapped, there was a wave of relief. I'm like, we're hiring someone now, right? Like, can we please hire someone? We're gonna hire someone now. I got electrocuted. We tried all that we could try. We gave it our best shot. Let's hire someone. So begrudgingly, we're like, okay, we're going to hire someone. And I feel like, okay, good. Now, but I'm with her because I don't have the fucking money to pay this guy either. And I also don't like having people coming in the house. I certainly don't like people coming in the house looking around our food storage area, right? Which is almost like a prepper thing. So we don't like any of this. But now, look, it is what it is. I got fucking zapped and I go to bed. I'm like, you know what? My whole side of the body. It hurts. And then I wake up in the middle of the night. Last night thinking I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. And I'm like, is my heart okay? Like I don't know if it's my head or am I just fucking cycling like a maniac? I'm like, is my heart okay? Is it beating fast? I don't know. So I say, fuck it. And I go back to bed. And I wake up this morning and I'm like, I still feel a little fucked up. Like I feel like I got punched in the ribs, like kind of, right? And like my hand hurts a little bit. And I'm like, it still kind of does. But what's really funny is about it, like we were joking about it after it happened and we're having dinner. And I was kind of joking like, well, that Bruce, he met an untimely end. He was working on the electricity and he died.
Boy, talk about death by Goyim. I mean,
Death by Goyim. And then, but what's really odd, and I'll end with this. She's like, wow, that would be really sad, whatever. And I go, you know what? It's been a life well lived. And this is how shocking it is. I was so comfortable with the idea of dying at age 55, just being done with it all, Dan.
Sure.
Like, I'm just done with it all. Like, I don't have to worry about bills anymore. I don't have to worry about my meniscus. Yes, I have a passion for life. And yes, I want to do things. But at that time, I was like, it's okay. 55 is good enough. And I was like, so that's my electricity
when you
story.
brought up the electricity thing, and I saw this on a street light in Mexico. Now,
is that because they're stealing the copper out of there, or that's the fix?
No, I don't know. All I know is that is a fucking, in the U.S., that would be a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Oh, absolutely. Someone's going to come along and touch that and get zapped. Mexico's different. But that's my electrical story, Dan. Okay. That I got fucking zapped for trying to do a do-it-yourself repair, and where it stands now.
I need you to tell Ro. I need you to say that Dan, and yes, I'm a Jew and I don't do most of my own stuff, but I will do electrical. I'm relatively good at electrical. I got a buddy who's an electrician, and he's showed me a lot of stuff, right?
Right.
You tell her.
The tester.
You cannot, an electrician would tell you this too. You cannot fuck with electrical without a tester. You can't.
We did.
It's $10, man. It doesn't cost much, but you can't. Yeah. No more of that. No more. You get a tester, okay. Then you do it.
I was a good sport, and I really thought we were going to fix it and there is, I know that there's a satisfaction of doing it yourself and not having to pay a guy. Like, I thought the light was going to come on after we changed the fucking black thing.
I actually enjoy doing electrical work. It's not about not paying someone. I just like it. Like when we redid like all our receptacles a couple of years ago to make them look newer and nicer. I did that. Put them all in.
Yeah.
Me.
So that was my electrical story. And, it zapped me. It still kind of hurts right now. I hope that my heart is okay. I don't know. But it did of course I went to bed and I had thoughts of death, and like the grand picture type things in my head. I know myself. I'm fucked up. I spin everything out of control and I go right down the doom hole. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, of course. I guess I'm going to die now. I guess that's it for me. And who cares? Like,
that's a good segue into the other thing you were going to talk about. I'm very excited to hear about it.
Okay, so now this is I'm going to make fun of myself here. I know, because this is, Dan, that's one thing we do share in common is if there's something funny about yourself, even though you might get teased about it, it's worth the laugh. I mean, I'll do anything for a laugh, right? Like, sure, right? Yeah. Like, yeah. So.
Yeah, I like laughing at myself.
I mean, look, I know I'm fucking ridiculous.
Sure.
So we got 10 minutes left. I'll try to hurry this along.
No, we got time. Go ahead.
So I've always been, and we share this.
On the screen, for those listening, on the screen are hardcore tie-dye fucking hippies.
Old hippies.
They're currently old, but I could see them in the 60s going to Woodstock.
Right. Yeah. So one thing that's true about me and Dan both is that we both really like music. I mean, our whole life, we really like music. Dan likes heavy metal. Dan likes lots of different kind of music. I like different kind of music. Music is something that's very, very important in our lives. And I know that's true about you. It's very, very true about me. And I've always been part of different subcultures growing up. I was part of the punk rock subculture in the 80s, part of the early hip hop subculture in the early 80s. And there was a part of my youth where I think when I started smoking weed pretty hardcore in college around sophomore year, I was a daily pot smoker. And this segued into things in that culture, right? It was like I was going to a lot of reggae concerts, Dan. And like daily weed smoker, smoking weed, going to college.
Were you into Fish?
Never into Fish. This was, Dan, this is 87. Fish wasn't around in 1987.
You're right. Pre-Fish. Okay.
And so whatever. And so like I'm listening to reggae and I'm smoking weed like every day and my punk rock, and I'm still doing punk rock shit. Absolutely. Right. I was part of all these different, things at the same time. I know people like to make fun of deadheads and hippies and stuff like that. That's what I'm going to talk about now because it has something to do with me. So lately there's a Grateful Dead cover band that plays out here in Arizona, and I like to go to it because they're very, very good. And it sort of reminds me of that time in your life where, like, look, we both have. I'm sure when you go to Iron Maiden concerts, it's kind of fun to feel that way again. Am I wrong, Dan? If you go to an Iron Maiden concert, you're feeling that the way that you did when you were younger, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Maiden is still relevant. So Maiden is a bad example because there's young people who like Maiden. But when I go to a show that's a band that is mostly nostalgia now, yes, 100%. Yeah.
Hate to break it to you, but Maiden's pretty mostly nostalgia right now too.
No, I'm just telling you about the crowds. A lot of
there's younger people in there too.
A lot of young people don't. Now, if I go see one of my other groups like Wasp or Tesla or one of those, no, all dudes, all old dudes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But Maiden's still putting out music. Look, of course, they're nothing like they were in the 80s. I agree.
No. But Maiden's got that thing where they are a fucking icon culturally. Even just a Maiden T-shirt is its own cultural icon, right? Like they've reached, they've reached like a stratosphere level.
Man. I mean, there's women at those shows where there really are not at most metal shows that I go to,
right?
And then young people, tons of young people. Anyway,
but the same thing about the hippie sort of Grateful Dead thing too.
Actually, you're right about that. No,
there's a lot of younger people that go, but this particular bar that I go to, I'm going to make fun of myself and the whole situation. Is that it's a little bar. It's out in Phoenix. There's maybe 60 people go, and it's a Grateful Dead cover band, and I like it very much because it's $10 to get in, and I can just sort of close my eyes.
You don't drink, so you just go and you have Shirley Temple.
I don't drink a fucking drop. It's $10. I bring my own.
Not even non-alcoholic.
No, I don't spend any money in there.
So you pay $10 and you just sit there like a schmuck watching them play.
Like a schmuck? Are you kidding? I run the show at this place, dude. I'm dancing. I'm talking with people. I'm mixing it up. Please, the fucking life of the party. So I go there, and I will make fun of myself because it's true. I will dance. And one time they showed a video. Someone was taking video of the crowd, and I saw myself dancing in there. I'm like, oh my God, that's a horror show. Look at me. But I do kind of enjoy it, and I realize that it's kind of funny. But one thing that's funny is that there's a lot of people that go to this are super old. Now, it's a mixed crowd. There are some younger people there, for sure. People that have never seen the Grateful Dead and will never seen the Grateful Dead. Jerry died ages ago, whatever. But I like to sit with these two dudes that look a lot like this guy in this picture. There's two dudes that are total curmudgeons. By the way, they're from the East Coast. They both have long white hair and white beard. They look identical. They both have fucking canes. I love them both a lot. And I decided when I started to go and ingrain myself into this crowd, that I'm going to make friends with these two old guys. Because, I don't know, for some reason I related to them more than anyone else in there. They sit at the table on the side, and they will I love it how they make comments about how people dance and the things that they don't like. And I love it. You were like this one guy dances around. He doesn't he's got problems with the way other people dance. And I love talking to him so much. He's great, super crabby. And there's different people that have different dancing styles. And I find myself focusing on what they do. One guy, I don't like the way one guy dances. I call him the space invader. He walks around the dance floor and gets within your hula hoop. He'll get up real close to you and fucking dance next to you. And I find myself reverting into punk rock mosh pit area. And I kind of check him a little bit like this. Hey, motherfucker, you're too close to me. So all this funny shit happens when I'm at the Grateful Dead covered show. And it is funny. I do like it a lot. But there are quite a lot of old. And I know that look, I dance around. I really like music. I close my eyes and I dance around. And I find myself thinking about Dan. If Dan walked in here and he saw me, he would make so much fun of me right now because, look at me.
Well, right? Look, Grateful Dead cover band is that's my personal hell.
I love it so much.
It's like that old joke. What's red and looks good on a hippie?
See, this is an interesting show because the mask thing we talked about, and now we're talking about this thing. So we're talking about things, but
well, this is no. This is not right or wrong. This is just personal taste. This isn't scientific right or wrong. This is I don't besmirch someone for liking something I don't like musically. Maybe except for Coldplay, in which case I would give you shit.
I love Coldplay.
Oh no. Oh,
I love
God.
Coldplay. Dan, I like lots of different types of
Well,
music.
so do I, dude. So do I. But not Coldplay. Oh.
Dan, all right, you know what? Let me give the radio audience something. Dan likes Winger. Okay, should we really be listening to the opinion of this guy who likes Winger and goes to Winger concerts?
Hold on a minute. Hold on
Sus.
a minute. Winger was unfairly maligned. This is a guy who has won a Grammy for classical composition. They were unfairly maligned. Now, look, there are a lot of shit bands that I listen to that you can make fun of me till the end of the day, right? But Winger, I will die on this hill. They were maligned unfairly. They were good. They just, because he was so good looking, I think they got lumped in with some of that really awful shit. And I got a buddy I've talked about this with, because it's fascinating to me that Winger was lumped into that. And he says he thinks it makes sense that a lot of it was sort of homophobia in the 80s, because Kip Winger had a very, I'm not going to say effeminate, but he had this way about him that was a little unique among frontmen and those type of bands, like the way he would dance, because he was a dancer in New York City too. So,
right.
Like my buddy, I was talking to a guy about this, and I think it's a fair point, because in the 80s, homophobia ruled the show in the 80s. And I think that had something to do with it. Regardless, they were unfairly maligned. I will not stand by them being blasphemed on this show. You can say you don't like them. You can say you don't like the music. That's fine. But they are, but there are, I can name fucking 50 bands that are utter shit. But somehow,
how could you? But that goes to both of us. Music is something that is so completely. There is no right or wrong, good or bad when it comes to music.
I just meant that Winger per se is misunderstood and unfairly maligned, and most people who kind of classify them as bad hair metal haven't actually heard most of their music. They're not. They are really not that. Now there are a lot of bands.
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. That's not a fact. That's an opinion. It's music. You can't make a fact about what's good or bad.
I'm not saying you like it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that factually, it is not the same as most of those late stage pop metal bands that got crazy in the late 80s. I'm saying Winger is unfairly maligned because there's a lot of unique shit. They are very talented. There's like, in fact, if you were to say to me, I want you to name bands that were popular in the 80s, metal bands, that are still the same guys, that are still putting out music that is not, decent music at least, right? There's like 3, and Winger's one of them.
Because Dan likes Winger. Dan has seen Winger semi-recently. And also, what are some of the other bands? You saw another one, too, you wanted me to go to.
Wasp. I wanted to go to Wasp. You didn't want to see Wasp.
Right.
Love
Dan likes Wasp and Winger.
Love Wasp. Love Winger. Love Wasp.
So Dan likes Winger and Wasp.
Yep.
And okay, I'm just gonna let that float.
Again, you're maligning. Now Wasp you can make fun of, but Winger is unfairly maligned. I'm just saying.
What about Motley Crue? You like Motley Crue?
I love old Crue in like 82, 83. They are fucking awful now. They are beyond awful.
Do you like different genres of music? Like how wide does the spectrum go?
I love 70s R&B. Love.
Okay.
Earth, Wind and Fire, the OJs. Love 70s R&B.
I like that too.
Like a lot of older rap. Love Run DMC, stuff like that. Love the Bee Gees.
Do you like punk? Do you like hardcore and punk rock, like the old stuff? That's too aggro for you.
I respect greatly. Respect it greatly. Just never really got into it. But nothing bad to say about it. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Respect it. Don't like. That's like Pink Floyd for me. Respect Pink Floyd. Not my thing. Yeah.
See, I like the Grateful Dead. It was a weird time in my life, and it definitely is tied into nostalgia because during that time when I was in college and I was smoking weed every day, I also experimented with LSD, right? Started doing a lot of LSD and mushrooms. And so that had a weird effect because I would go see some of these Grateful Dead I did like a whole tour on the East Coast. I was one of these guys that got in my truck and fucking just followed them up in the East Coast of summer of 1990. But I had 3 really good-looking chicks with me. It was fucking amazing. I could do a whole podcast on that.
Following the Dead around, I might chuckle at, but I can respect that. The people who follow Dave Matthews, I'd like to round them up and put them in a camp.
Yeah, the Dave Matthews, like there's, and I that's why I like hanging out with the 2 old like curmudgeonly
Yes.
Grateful
Yeah,
Dead
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
because we have the same, and I'm much younger than them, but I have the same opinion. I have sort of a bad opinion on like some of the new, like apparently there's all these Grateful Dead fans, and there are these new bands that have come along and sort of like taken this group like this of people. And so like Fish and whatever, and I'm not going to talk bad about them. I don't really understand their music and I'm not a fan of it, but it's just interesting that there's this large fan base that other bands have come along and sort of taken them, and the fan base just goes along with it, whatever. And so I like talking with the old guys, and we're like, yeah, I don't really.
Fish was big.
we're-
They were, because I went to college in New Hampshire. Fish was from Vermont. They were really big. Look,
Yeah.
I can't name one Fish song. It's not my thing.
You know what? People like you would really like it, Bruce. You would like, and I'm like, nah, I don't need to listen to that, whatever. But like, music is such an interesting thing because it's so varied and people can like what they want to like. And I truly believe that. Like, I used to not be that way. I was kind of a dick, like a gatekeeper and a fucking like, oh, you shouldn't like this, and it's uncool to like this, and people can like who they want to like. You know what I mean? That's fine, and people can like different.
Yeah,
types of music.
I don't like gatekeepers. It's like Rush. I love Rush. I hate Rush fans for that reason.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Grateful Dead fans that I don't like either. I mean, for sure, but it's funny when you go to that, and then like, look, I know you get made if you're in a punk rock. You'll get made a lot fun of if they see you going to a Grateful Dead cover show,
Yeah,
like they're very judgy. Like
I like that. I like that you're not afraid to fucking
I'm not, and I know I will get heat. Like I go to if I go to Wasteland Weekend music format is very much like this aggro industrial kind of it's got this edge to it, right? And I know my Wasteland friends, if once they hear this, are going to be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that about Bruce. That's gross." You know what I mean? But then I will fucking say this the whole time. Like, I'm allowed to like the kind of music I want to like. I'm allowed to like different kind of subcultures.
One of my all-time favorites is Bee Gees, right? You go tell that.
Oh my God, I will name a band right now that I'm such a huge fan of. Like, not ironically, I just really love them. It's fucking ABBA. Like, dude.
Oh, ABBA's good.
I fucking love ABBA so much. And I will sing the songs.
Dude,
dance.
I like Toto. I saw Toto live a couple of years ago. Like, yeah, I mean, ABBA is good. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, and look, in the metal world, it's the same fucking thing. Like you tell,
like in the metal.
You tell your metal buddies that you're into fucking Bee Gees and ABBA.
Bro, if you told your Iron Maiden friends that like, I'm watching Maiden now, it's really great, and next week I'm gonna go see like an ABBA cover band, they'd be like, what? Like, some like groups, some cultures are like that, some music subcultures. You get to
this age and no one cares. I mean, but when you were younger, yeah, but now it's
oh my God, when you were younger is like way worse. But like, there's a movement happening right now where sort of like what I was talking about, like being allowed to like different types of music is now acceptable. It did not used to be acceptable when we were in high school. You were either part of this and that was it.
Yeah. When we were kids. Yeah. I was a metalhead. Like, you can't admit that you like, even if you like it, you can't admit it.
I mean, you had to keep that shit a dark secret, The
only genre that to this day I can't is country. Like, I just can't.
Now, Dan, we disagree on a lot of things, but I'm going to tell you right now, I couldn't agree with you more. The amount that I hate, specifically the newer country.
Yeah.
The old country.
About the old, yeah.
I fuck with the old country. I like the old country. I don't
like that either, but that I respect.
I like it. You know what I mean? And I will listen to. I'm talking about the new country that you that's on the grocery store when you go in, and it's like
waterboarding.
Dude, I will leave the fucking grocery store. I can't stand.
I got a buddy in Charlotte who used to make fun of country. He called it the Special Olympics of popular music.
Oh my God,
that's pretty funny.
It's terrible. And I know that I should be a little more progressive, but I like the people that like new country. I don't like them.
Well, I have friends who like, dude, my buddy that I go to all the Maiden shows with. This dude he's got tattoo sleeves. He's been driving for UPS for 30 years, like blue collar guy, great guy. And he loves that shit. And I'm always like, I don't know how you listen to that stuff.
Bro.
I don't know how. Because he's a metal guy, right?
Yeah, that's horrible.
I guess look, I gotta look at it the same way that the metal people look at me with Bee Gees or with
right. It's an opportunity for self-growth. Like, you look at yourself and you go, maybe I should just accept it that people like different music.
I will never like country, but I will accept it. I will accept it. But country, like the wife and I fight about going to shows. Country is my line in the sand. It's my red line.
Does
like,
she want to go see a country band?
I don't think she's asked for that, but like Adele or Lady Gaga, stuff like that, I will go under protest if she wants me to go. Right?
Dan gets asked to accompany his wife to concerts.
It's the biggest fight we have. It's the biggest fight we have.
Yeah, I'm aware of this. I'm aware of this.
I have a mental block against spending $150 to be miserable for 2 hours. But it's fair for her to say, like, a couple times a year, you just suck it up, take one for the team. That's fair.
Yeah.
But country is a no-go.
It's a hard line in the sand.
It's a red line. It's a red line. I'm sorry. It's a red line. It's like,
I went to go see U2 with Rose. She wanted to go see U2 like that probably about 5 years ago. And I'm not a huge, I don't loathe them. I do like the very early U2 songs. I just knew that it would be a very big concert. We'd be packed in there. And I don't like big concerts. I don't like,
I love them. It's weird. I'm the same as you. I hate crowds, but I love big shows. It's weird.
Oh my God. I saw
U2 in '92, man.
Yeah, I saw them.
I don't like them now, though. They're one of those that I liked when I was younger, but now.
No, I'm with you. I think that Bono is just kind of like he's vile, like, you know, yeah. Douche. But that's my Grateful Dead cover band story, and I do go to that, and I do like dance around, and I will close my eyes, and the band's really good. So if I close my eyes and I just sort of dance around, I just let myself get lost in the moment, and I can sort of. Now, look, you know I'm clean and sober, and I haven't done drugs in a long time, nor will I. I'm celebrating fucking 19 years coming up next month. Wow. But there was a time in my life during that time where I was seeing a lot of Grateful Dead and reggae. I was doing a lot of acid, a lot of shrooms. And I remember having incredible fucking moments, like while listening to that stuff at concerts where it's just, you're out of your head, you know? Yeah. And so there's a weird thing that happens when I go to see this cover band. Well, it doesn't happen a lot. But it will happen. Well, I'll be dancing around, my eyes were shut, and if the music is uncertain, like I will have what is comparable to sort of like an out of mind, sort of like, now you know I'm an artist, so this comes to no surprise that I might have these moments.
You could have done this at the Wasp show. He's playing "Fuck Like a Beast," and you're like,
no. Dan wanted me to go to the Wasp show.
Come on, man, "Fuck Like a Beast."
Dan said, "Hey, man, I'll bring you to the Wasp show, and we'll get like the good." Didn't you have like a big box suite for the Wasp show?
No, I had VIP. I got to meet Blackie Lawless.
You got to meet Blackie,
dude. Back in the day, they were the fucking kings of like shit that pissed your parents off.
Well, no, I will agree with that because I was never part of that sort of community, the hair metal community, whatever. But there was
please don't use that phrase.
Here's the deal.
I hate it.
Wasp had a little bit of a cool crossover with my subculture at the time, which was punk rock. Here's the deal. Because they had a song called "Fuck Like a Beast," and they had this image that was very
of the circular saw going
of the circular saw.
I have the box set in the other room with that picture.
And just their whole vibe appealed to us punk rockers because of how hard it was and how much it definitely pissed off your parents.
Do you remember when Tipper Gore went after all of them?
It was great.
Okay, so Tipper Gore and the Washington Wives, the PMRC goes after Wasp. What does Blackie do? Right? He puts a song on a live album, a new song. He writes it called "Harder, Faster."
Yeah.
Suck me, eat me raw. I mean, it's fucking that dude. Like back in the day, man. I mean, that is when you're 15 years old and there's a guy fucking flipping off the establishment and telling them to fuck off. And
it appealed to me. It appealed to me.
It still appeals to me.
There's a band. But here's the deal. So there's a problem happening right now with punk rock bands, and like there's a band called DRI when I was younger. You know, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. They did a lot of thrash metal. They did stuff. There was a lot of crossover, and I really liked them. And there's a lot of bands that were like very hardcore punk rock when I grew up. And they were singing songs about, you know, fuck society and fuck school, and I don't like my mom and dad. And it was because this was music being made by people that were my age, right? Back then in the 80s. And that really appealed to me, is the DIY. These people are making music that are my age, talking about my shit, whatever. Fast forward to where we are right now, Dan, 2024. There are these same bands who are kind of still playing with maybe 2 or 3 original members that are doing it for a paycheck. Now, I don't begrudge them of that. They got to make a little money.
I bet you'd rather them than Green Day, though.
I hate Green Day so much, but here's I really hate Green Day so much. But let me get back to this point. So like there are bands that like, oh, Black Flag is playing, or you can go see the Misfits, the original Misfits, you know.
Oh wow.
And it's like
is Danzig back with them?
So they got Danzig back, whatever. But here's my problem with these old punk bands that are playing today. Look, I guess it's fine. I don't want to be ageist, like the kids say. Like if you want to get out there and play and whatever, and like the bands that you see, these guys are old that are playing the metal, the 80s metal.
Yeah, but it's different. That punk.
I got a problem with it because like that, it doesn't translate. Like I got no problem with that kind of shit, like the metal or the Grateful Dead guys or Crosby, Stills and Nash. These are old, kind of like you can be super old. It's
up timeless. There. It's timeless.
But you got a guy who's 55 years old trying to sing a song about how he hates his parents.
Yeah.
And by the way, the chops are so fast and the drummer is so like you got to be. I could not play these songs anymore. I'm too old. So the people say, "Oh my God, Bruce, the Misfits are coming around. You know, when you want to see the Misfits, Bruce, I got a free ticket for you. Come with me to see the Misfits. I got a free ticket." You know what I say? Absolutely not. And they're like, "What? Why would you? Why would you not do that?"
Look, man, it's Motley Crue's the same thing. They can't play anymore. They're terrible.
Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. You got to be kidding me.
I mean, and some of them Maiden can still play. Some of them can still play and sound good. Winger still sounds good. Crue is embarrassingly bad.
And since I'm a drummer myself, and I've been a drummer in band my whole life, and I've been in punk rock bands, that when I tend to focus on the drummer when I see any band. I mean, I can't help myself. You probably watch the guitar since you play guitar, right? You will tend to focus on that. And I know that the energy and the strength of the band comes from the drummer and like you got to keep an eye on him. And if this guy is 80 years old and he's playing drums back there, you don't stand a chance in hell. A lot of these punk rock bands that are starting to play these concerts, they get themselves a young guy back there. I mean, you got to get rid of the old guy that's 50, 60 years old.
Dude, that shit is fast. Like, I mean,
it's way fast.
And the bass too. I mean, so
yeah.
It's
but it's different. Like you got double kicks. You're playing drums. You got double kicks. You got to be a 25-year-old in top shape.
Yeah.
You can't be. So yeah, I just noticed there's another big festival that's a bunch of old, the Black Flag, the original Misfits, the Vandals, all these guys, and everyone in the band is 60 years old. Bruce, you want to go?
It's case by case, and I think it's important to realize that some of them probably are still able to play, maybe not at an A+, but at a B+ for sure, right?
Yeah.
But some of them are terrible, and it's important. At this point with metal, it's the same thing. Like there is no. You've said to me, "Hey man, let's go see Motley Crue." There's nothing that I used to love Motley Crue. I wouldn't see Motley.
I wouldn't go in a million years.
You couldn't pay me. I saw them in '97, and they were terrible. '97. That was 25 years ago. So it is
case by case because I saw a band called I saw a hardcore band called the Cro-Mags, one of the hardest bands to ever come out of New York City, right, from the 80s. And so then they were playing like out here like a couple years ago, and I was like, all right, I love the Cro-Mags. I'm gonna go see them. Now, when I got there early and watched them do like stage setup and do some sound check. I noticed something. These guys are my age, if not a little older. All of them had been going to the gym, Dan. You can tell. These guys were taking this shit seriously, and they were going to the gym, and they were like they were my age, but they were ready. They had the chops. And even the drummer. And when the drummer finished it, they played an amazing set, and they walked off the stage. I go to the drummer, and I go, God bless you, man. I don't know how you do it. And the guy like looked dead at me. He's like, I feel like I'm ready to drop dead. But at least they really had it. And so... yeah, I know you got to get going. Dan's got a meeting, but this was a pretty good podcast. We talked about Dan being annoyed by boomers wearing masks on his trip to Mexico. I talked about getting zapped by electricity, trying to do a home. Let's review. I gotta get
your own goyishness.
Yeah, I'm definitely. And so it's on this podcast, Dan and I have the freedom and to talk about different things and call each other on the shit and mix it up a little bit. I think I got to tell you something before we leave. one of the people that goes to this Grateful Dead cover song, her name is TC, right? One of the few Black people you will see at the Grateful Dead cover things like this. And she's a great, great person. I love TC so much. She goes, Bruce, I'm such a fan of your fucking show. I'm such a fan of the Heeb and Goy show. And she's like, what happened with Dan? Like, she needed details. Like, what happened with Dan on his trip? I want you to know, we don't get much viewers on this show or much people listening. It's getting up there. But the ones that we have, my cousin Laura, my friend Kelsey out in Utah, and my friend TC who goes to the Grateful Dead, they're huge fans of the show, to where they listen to, they look for, they subscribe, and they listen every show. They love it. TC wanted to know what was going on with your trip, and I'm like, you gotta listen, fucking
like or subscribe or not,
like a subscriber or not. So Dan, I want to take a moment and thank you. This whole podcast was Dan's idea, it wasn't mine. Dan's like, let's have a podcast, and he had to, like, Bruce, come on. I'm like, I'll send you the mic, I'll do all the shit. And he went through all the hoops and whistles, and he got it done. So now we're having this podcast.
It's good for my mental health once a week to complain.
Well, it's good to vent, and it's also good to do something creative, right? It's not just about making music or making art. This falls under the same umbrella as doing something creative, which makes life worth living, quite frankly.
What in God's name is that?
So it's an old mayonnaise jar. You can almost see the remnants of the label.
What is it? Is it like Kool-Aid?
So it's a combination of two sodas, and I made my own combination. There's like it's yerba, which is like a caffeine yerba drink in there, and then I mix it with the red stuff, which is a sparkling ice red stuff, and I make my own flavor. And like even Ro was horrified by this. Ro goes, what is that? And I'm like, it's an old mayonnaise jar that I saved that I'm now drinking soda out of, because you could save money. If you don't drink it all, you put the lid back on, and it keeps the carbonation. That's what's going on.
On that note, I'm going to get ready for my meetings.
Good luck with your meeting.
But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to get back on our regular schedule starting this Sunday. And don't worry, there'll be plenty to complain about.
There's never a shortage of things to complain about here.
Never a shortage. Never
on the Heeb and Goy show.
I'm about to buy some farm equipment. That's a tease.
I know. I can't wait to. That's going to be a good one too. I'm going on a date day with Ro on Friday. That's going to be something to talk about.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
Peace out.
Get cocking off and